Continuing the IGN First Coverage with Monster Hunter Wilds, we now have an interview with the team, and the title of the video is Evolving Monster Hunter, How Capcom's Belief in the Series Made It a Worldwide Hit. So I'm very curious to see what is going on here, so let's check out the content. I'm going to be doing my commentary over it as well, and if you guys want to watch the original video, there will be links in the description of this one to where you can just go watch this interview. So if you want to go watch it first and then come back and watch my content, you can go ahead and you can do that. But anyways, let's go ahead and get things started here.
まずこのモンスターハンターワイルズをまず作るにあたって
Oh, they're not really, they're just doing subtitles? Okay, I'll read over the subtitles for you guys for an audio experience. Ryozu is speaking and he says, when creating Wilds,
作るにあたって出すタイミング的にもまあ正直今ぐらい
we thought it would be released around this time, and we expected new generation platforms to be out by then.
パワーアップした形になってるっていうことが想定されてましたので、まあそのタイミングで出せる
The concept and the theme of this game was depicting the world of Monster Hunter again, using the technology that would be available. See, this is one of the things that they've started embracing pretty much ever since Monster Hunter World, because like they like focusing on new technology. Like Monster Hunter World was built to kind of take advantage of PlayStation 4 and Xbox One hardware. This is one of the reasons why it first came out on the consoles and then it came out on PC, and also why very quickly after it came out on PC, they came up, actually I don't remember if it was quickly or if it was a bit after, but they came out with the HD texture pack, which increased the quality of the textures of the game. It's kind of like the same thing, and this is one of the reasons why Monster Hunter Rise runs as flawlessly as it does on the Switch, because, you know, it's primarily developed for the Switch. They like to focus on the technology of what they're working on, the Monster Hunter team, that is. And Wilds is the first one that is going to be you know, cross-platform across all of them, simultaneous release. So this is one of the reasons why they're focusing so much on optimizing everything as much as they can. And even though they weren't there yet when it came to the beta, I have faith that they're going to pull through, but we shall see.
ですので、まあもちろんゲームの
The game is what it is because we performed a lot of technological tests in addition to gameplay tests.
ここまで来ている状態です。
ワールド
Now it's Fujioka-san. I guess it was around the time we announced Monster Hunter World.
グローバルでその時やっぱ主流だったのって結構
Shooters and competitive multiplayer games were the mainstream in the global market among games that people played together.
協力し合って
There were barely any games where you played cooperatively. It's like, this is very true. Around the time they started working on Monster Hunter World, I do remember there was a bit of a drought of cooperative multiplayer games. Absolutely. Yeah. People were focusing more on shooters and stuff like that. Yeah. We'd grown the series in Japan by having an absolute belief in how fun that could be. Not that just, there was also a niche following. There was also a niche following in the West. Okay. We were playing Monster Hunter in the West. All right. We never believed that a Japanese sensibility wouldn't be able to land overseas by making sure that players could quickly enjoy playing with others. The reception to Monster Hunter was that it was a unique kind of game. We felt we could be confident in that and not have to change it. Thank God. Although we have been seeing some changes, and it's like this is a little bit, you know, we felt we would be confident and not have to change it, but they did change it. So, for instance, there were some things that happened in World, and they took the feedback of what people said. Like one of the things is obviously the hit stop. A lot of people complained about the hit stop in World. Maybe not a lot of people. I still wonder I've heard from people saying that, like, oh yeah, there were Steam reviews back then of people complaining about how slow the combat felt or something like that, and people didn't like the hit stop. But it's weird because obviously the you know, they changed the hit stop because of that, and then everybody complains like, what do you mean we love the hit stop, bring it back.
変えなくていいんだろうなとは思っています。
なんかワールドの時は
In World, the Palicoes had a cute design.
演出というかデザインみたいなやつも ちょっとハイエンドなゲームとして
We
は
were told that some
そういう
global players
描き
wouldn't
方を
accept
すると受け
depictions
入れ
like
ない人
that
もい
in
る
a
かもしれ
somewhat
ないみたい
high-end
な
game.
話があったんです。
True. It's that whole notion that people have this like, no, you can't have cute things. The game needs to be just about the grit. And it's like, I feel like there's room for both. It just depends on the type of game that you're doing. Like, so having cute, cuddly things in something like a Path of Exile, I feel like really goes against the theme of that game. But having cute and cuddly things in Monster Hunter, I think that's perfectly fine.
ですけど我々
We basically kept them as cute as we wanted, and they were a big hit.
いいじゃないかって言ってやったやつがすごくこう受けていただいたんで大丈夫じゃないか
音もなので
I feel like people will accept what your video game is about so long as you are passionate about your video game and it makes sense within the world of that game. I feel like people are very ready to accept that stuff. It's just a matter of how you present it to them and how respectful you are of the material that you're presenting and how passionate you are about it as well. And now we're here because somebody believed in us. We made it so that Palicoes didn't stand out too much in world.
でもなんか意外と
They were still quite well received though.
なので今回思い切ってこの
That's why we decided to
ワンオフという
depict
か
truly
まあ
unique ones with
本当に個性
personality
を
this
ちゃ
time
んと
around.
しっかりまあ
Bro,
描く
This is one of the best cutscenes in the game. Look at
そ
this.
のお供として
へい
今回
や
切ろうっていうので
Wait,
ちゃんと物語にもその役どころを作っ
where's the
て
bonk?
たのはそこで一歩踏み出せたからかなっていう
I'm sorry, I got lost in the cutscene. I love that cutscene so much.
お供として今回切ろうっていうのでちゃんと物語にも
First step we made with World is that it let us give them a
出たのは
proper place in story
そこ
now.
で一歩踏み出せたからかなっていう、はい、気持ちはありますね。
あとはそのお供の話もありますけど、最終的には受け入れられて
On that note, while the Palicoes were ultimately well received,
ワールドというかやっぱり海外の
there's also the factor of it
との
being
コミュニケーシ
easier
ョン
for us to
が取りやす
communicate with overseas
くなって
fans
きた
since
っていうの
World.
と、そこの
Absolutely.
意見を聞けるようになってきた
We're set up so that we
とい
can
う
now
体制
hear
にな
their
ってきたっていうのと
opinions.
僕たち開発自体
We're
も
also more
そ
conscious
こ
as
を
developers to
に
communicate with those
すごく
fans.
コミュニケ
Yeah, like Capcom, for those of you that aren't aware, Capcom has brutally extended their community team in preparation of the launch of Monster Hunter Wilds. Like that there's a lot of new community managers for different languages and stuff like that. So they're really trying to get as much feedback as they can. Although I think that's kind of like a double-edged sword a lot of times, because it is important to get feedback from people, but it is also important to not deviate too much from your own vision, because as much as feedback is important, you can't just listen to every feedback that everybody gives you, because otherwise you end up with a game that has no direction. This is one of the reasons why a lot of times people ask me, if you could change this thing or that thing into the game. I always like to preface by saying, like, listen, there's a reason why I'm not a game designer, okay? I have suggestions, but the things that I would change are not necessarily going to be universally accepted. Like, at one point, people told me, if you could change one thing about Monster Hunter Wilds, what would it be? I'd be like, I'd take away restock. I take away restock. You can't restock during hunts. People are like, well, you're crazy. It's like, yeah, exactly. This is why I'm not a game designer.
コミュニケーションを取ることの意識が高まってたっていうのもあって、やっぱりいろんな話、
That lets us get lots of opinions, including from overseas
それが意
players.
見がどうなんどこに
And so we
流れるのか
developed the
みたい
habit
な
during
を
World
やっ
of
ぱり
thinking
考える
about
っていう
where
こと
those
の
problems
習
may
慣っていう
lie.
のはすごく
You know, one of the things that I hope they do is I want to see those little director, what are they called? Damn it, I forget the name. But you know, those directs that they used to do where Ryozu-san would come out and Fujioka, and they would be like, the one that I always remember is during Iceborne, the one that they did where they had like this fake table in front of them, like it was made out of rock. They had like the towels on their heads, like they were doing the hot springs in Celiana. It's like, I want more of that, like them just sitting down, chatting, having a good time. I love that type of stuff. So yeah, they're probably going to need Patrick to do localization during that, and that's probably going to be a headache for poor old Patrick. But still, I thought that those were awesome.
だなとも思いますし、それはでもそもそ
Of
も
course, this isn't specifically about
ユ
overseas fans.
ーザーの方が言ってるこ
It's
とを
about
噛み砕いて
digesting what players are saying to
やら
figure
ない
out
といけない
what we
ことは
need
何
to
なの
do
か
and
やらな
what
くてい
isn't
いことじゃ
connecting.
なくて伝わってないところは何なのかっていうのをしっかり考えていくっていうところがより身につきましたし、 それが
We became even better at
この概
properly
念で
thinking
追加
about
され
that,
てい
and
ます
I think
で
that
も
often
これがよ
shows
く
in
モンスターハ
Wilds.
ンターで当たり前だ
Kuda
った
says
こと
we
を
have
見直すという
reconsidered
こ
what's
とも
taken as a
見られ
given
ますし
in Monster
なので
Hunter.
そういう、環境が
See, this is one of those things where there are some things that I think are really cool, and there are other things like, for instance, you're never going to get me to agree with the change that they've done to friendly fire. Like, I'm still going to play the game, I'm still going to enjoy the crap out of the game, but their friendly fire change is just something that I fundamentally disagree with. I don't agree. And I know that, and again, I know that there's a lot of people that I see in my comment sections. I acknowledge you guys, but I don't agree with you. Okay? I respect your opinion, but I don't agree with it. All right? You're not going to get me to change my mind, just like I'm not going to get you to change yours. I just hope we can continue to coexist. But fundamentally, I do not agree with all of the arguments that I've seen against friendly fire. I disagree with those. And that's not the only thing. I also don't agree with restocking. And there's plenty of other things that they are changing with the game that I'm not a huge fan of. But at the end of the day, the overall experience I still think is going to be a very positive one. So, we'll see.
と意識、僕たちの意識っていう
Our
のも
environment and
そうなってき
awareness
たっていうことも
becoming
すごく
like
大
this
きいと
played a
思います
major part in that.
過去シリーズのにもあった
The herds of monsters in previous titles would move by having followers do as a leader orders. There's one members of a herd that would move exactly as the leader instructed. Like a good example of this is the Great Izuchi. Obviously, there are others. Like I feel like Great Jaggy also kinda did this back in the day. But I feel like Great Izuchi is one of the better examples of this in Monster Hunter Rise. But this time, they individually think about what they should do given a leader's location. So if the leader is close and attacking, they'll join in. If the leader is far away, they'll act freely. We thought more about how herds should be controlled, how to let them better act as individuals while still in a pack. As well as other variations to create more realistic herds, I think that redesign is the reason for the change. One of our achievements in World was depicting Monster Hunter's environment and creating an immersive world. Yeah, absolutely. Our goal was to create an immersive experience of entering that as a hunter and hunting. That's long been something we've pictured when making Monster Hunter. To take that even further this time, we've connected camps to stages. So first we had the connection of the different zones of an area, which is what you see in Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise and Sunbreak, right? You have the one big area as opposed to the segregated areas. For those of you that didn't play the older games, what we used to have was like a set of arenas, and then they would be connected through loading screens. And this was important because of like hardware limitations of the time and just all of the stuff that Monster Hunter is doing in terms of AI of the monsters and their movesets and all of this stuff, right? It was also actually, interestingly enough, you guys are going to be like, what? Is he really about to say this? It was also very immersive the way that it worked, because when you can't go everywhere on the map, your mind kind of fills in the blanks, which is why people who played the older games would have this notion that the maps were actually way bigger than they really were. So, like, in a lot of ways, for some of us, maps like the Ancient Forest, they actually feel smaller than old school maps. Because in our heads, we would fill in the blanks of those connecting areas, and you'd be in like this actual massive map, right? At least that's the vibe that I feel like. You guys let me know in the comment section if you feel differently about it. We've made Hunter's movements more seamless as well. We're pretty conscious about seeing how much we could connect without adding in loading screens. So they're reducing as many loading screens as possible. We're conscious from early on that allowing for an even more immersive game and world. The environment constantly changes in this game. The monsters are actually moving as well. So if you leave a stage for a while to do something else and come back, you might see lots of piles of bones, or signs that a lot of herbivorous monsters have been hunted by something. Yep. This is because now whenever you kill monsters, they will actually leave behind bone mounds and stuff like that you can go and harvest. Or you may see monsters covered in wounds. You'll be able to imagine what could have happened.
何かしらが発生した結果こうなったんだろうなみたいなことをちょっと想像しながら、しかも傷だらけだからちょっと。
While also thinking to yourself, maybe I'll try hunting that monster since it's so wounded.
今回のこういろんな環境が遷移していく。
Again, this does make me a little bit apprehensive in terms of the difficulty. I'll be very curious to see how the difficulty feels. That is one of my concerns for Monster Hunter Wilds. The way we designed this game to retain that data as you travel through different environments.
変化していく中で、ずっとデータを保持し続けるっていう、今回の
So there's a lot of like simulation going on in the background. Gives it its own Monster Hunter-like feeling.
自然界の感覚
I was happy to see how realistic or natural it
感
feels.
じれてすごく良かったなと思います。
今回子供とかも
We made the choice to
ちゃんと描こう
properly
っていうので
depict children this time.
あまりその今までこう子供をちゃんと描く
We didn't have many
チャン
chances
スが
to
あ
do
ま
that
り
in
な
the
くてまあ
past.
トライとかも少しやったんで
Though
す
we
け
did a
ど
bit in
その
try,
子供
we
が
didn't exactly
た
create
ち
fixed
が
moments
こう
where
アイドル
children
と
play
こう
with
戯れる
felines.
瞬間とかを
Huh.
こうセットされてるわけじゃなくて
But that's what they begin to do in the right
そういうこ
situation.
とをやり始めるっていうのを目の前で見たときに
When I saw that, I felt like, what a great place this
こう
is.
いうなんか
Humanoid creatures like
いわゆる
felines or
アイドルみたいな
Palicoes playing with children like
獣
that.
人族とその子供たち
That
が
is pretty cool.
こう無邪気にこう戯れてる
In such an innocent way.
まあ大人はちょっと
The adults might seem to wonder what they're doing, but the kids are out there having
子供は
fun.
結構積極的に楽しんでるみたいなこの空気感の違いを
Seeing that difference's
目の
excitement
前で見ると
gives you a
なん
real
かすごく
sense of the world
あこう
you're
いう
in.
世界だよなって思って見れるのでなんかそういうのを一つ
Just
見る
seeing
だ
that
けでも
once helps you
こう
understand the world of
世界を
Monster Hunter.
感じれるので改めて感じた
That's the sense I got all over again.
これはワールドの時からそうですけど、
This has been true since
いわゆるこう
World.
広さで、広さを
But creating a wide open space is not our goal. Instead, the world has gotten larger and connected as a result of properly depicting the world of Monster Hunter. Yeah, this is like there's a lot of people that are coming into Monster Hunter expecting open world, and the idea is you are getting a much more open world than we've ever had. But it's not open world in the traditional sense that we associate with it in video games nowadays, which is kind of like the Ubisoft form of like, oh, you go over here and there's a tower, and then you climb on top of the tower, and then after that it reveals, and there's like all these little mini objectives that you get. It's like, no, it's just a really big map where you go and you hunt monsters in.
の時もそうですけど、密度の高さってところが。
And if there's one thing that I would like to see is a hunt that will actually start, say, in the Windward Plains, and then it will seamlessly flow into the Scarlet Forest. I think that'd be really cool.
このユニークな良いポイントだと思ってますので、密度の高さというのは、歩くだけ
For
で
example, you can
何かしら
discover something
発見があ
by
ったり
simply
とか、確認
walking
インタラクト
around the
できるもの
field,
が
or
あ
you
ったり
can
だとか、
find something
いろ
or
んな
other
意味
to
でこう
interact
アク
with
ションできる対象も
in
そうです
many
けど、
senses
い
of
ろん
the
な意味で
term.
何かしら発見がある密度っていうのを、フィールド内に仕
Like
込
you
ん
saw
でいく
the woodwoods there picking up honey.
そこにイン
That's
タラクト
cool.
できるものがあったりだとか、い
Like,
ろん
look
な
at
意味
them.
でこう、アクションできる対象もそう
They're
です
just
けど、
chilling
いろんな
there
意味でこう
picking up harvesting honey. That's a neat little interaction. I don't think I had seen that one yet. I don't know if it's been available in other footage, but that's really cool.
いろんな意味でこう何かしら発見がある密度っていうのを、フィールド内に仕込んでいくっていうの
Now
は
they're showing traps.
すごく大事なことです。それ自体が世界だったり生態系ってものを
That
描く
connects to the
もの
way
に
we
つな
depict
がってくる
worlds and
と思ってます
ecosystems.
ので、でもこの子にはこういう生態系
The
があって
stage will
だからこう
contain
いう
a certain
環境
kind
整
of
備が含めてい
biology
るし
because it
だから
has a
この人たちは
certain
この時間帯
Wait,
に
what?
生態系があってだから
Has a
こういう
certain kind
環
of
境整備が含めている
ecosystem.
しだからこの人たちは
which is also
この
why
時
the
間帯にこういう
characters
行動
there
を取るんだよ
act the way
みたい
they
な
do
一つ一つ
certain
考え
times.
てこう
It's fun for us to
作ってい
think
く機
about
会
and
は
create each
可
one
能
of
性
those
でもあります
elements. Yeah, it adds
そも
immersion.
そも開発中も
We didn't really use the
その
phrase open
オープンワー
world
ルド
during
っていうワードが
development.
出てきているわけではなく、やりたいことを
We
再現
created
して
what we
いったら
wanted,
こうな
and
っ
this
た
was the
っていう
result.
ところですので、なのであまりそのオープン
We
ワー
weren't
ルド
actually that
を
conscious of the
これ
idea of an
が
open
意識して
world.
たっていうのは実はなくて、結果的にこう
This is just what we
やりたい
wanted
こと
to
実は
do.
こうなりましたっ
そ
ていう
うなんですよねなんかオープンワールド
We don't even know if we
で
can
言って
call
いい
this
ん
an
かも
open
自分
world
たちは
game.
よく分
Yep.
かってなくて
See, that's what I was talking about. It's not really an open world game in the true sense of the word. at least what we associate with an open world game.
これをなんて呼べばいいん
We
だろう
honestly don't really know
実
what
は
to
あんまりよ
call
く
it.
分かってないんで
It's a hunting
その
simulator.
まあ
There you go.
オープンワール
I
ドですよ
solved
ねっ
it.
て言っていただ
People
け
say
な
it's
ら
an
そういう
open
もの
world
なんだなと
game,
思
then
って
we
ま
wouldn't
すし
disagree
い
with
やこれは
them.
違うよねって
But if
おっしゃ
others
る
say
方
it
がいる
isn't,
なら
we think they're
まあ
right too.
そうなんだろうなと思ってるし
Riding
な
that
なんか
that fine
ジャン
line.
ルとして
We
どう
aren't really
捉え
thinking
ら
about
れる
what
か
kind of
ちょっと
genre will be
あんまり
received
意
as.
識せずやってる感じですね
だからオープンワールドゲームに
It's not like we're
サイドミッ
adding
ションが
side
プラス
missions
され
just
ていくわけ
because
で
an
もなく
open
て
world
今回
games
の
have them. We added them
世界観設
because
定だったり人
the
との
game's
関わりを
world
考
and
えたら
setting,
もうちょっと掘り下げて遊びたいな
as well as how you
気持ちが
interact
出
with
て
its
くるから
people, makes you want to
サイドミ
dig
ッションができ
deeper.
た
I mean, it's like Monster Hunter has always had side quests.
にはなりますね
This isn't really like news. Yeah. That's a neat little interview. We didn't really learn anything new, but I just like listening to the team, man. You know, maybe not maybe. I'm definitely a fanboy of this franchise, but I like listening to the team speak. I like how passionate they are, because like that's the thing that you can kind of take away from this. Like when you are watching them speak, right? You can tell a lot by the way that somebody speaks. Like look at how Takuda over here is like all excited about what he's talking about because he's super excited about the game. Ryozu's like half asleep because he's probably like overworked as hell. You guys have no idea because Ryozu, he flies around so much just promoting Monster Hunter Wilds. I can't imagine like this man. Like, look at it. He's like, oh, I just want to go to sleep. But he's excited about it as well. And look at Takuda-san just always smiling. It's like these dudes are super passionate. Like, look at this. Look. See, this is what I'm talking about. They're super passionate about this game, okay? Listen, I've gotten to interview this trio, and the interesting thing is, like, you would expect, okay, so after the interview, their time is precious, they kicked your ass out to the curbs. It's like, no, after the interview, we were just sitting there chatting, having a good time, talking about the game and whatnot. They asked me some questions as well about some stuff. They're just genuinely excited to talk about their video game, okay? While I was at Gamescom, like I said this multiple times, while I was at Gamescom, they would constantly be trying to go from the business area into the public area to try and hang out with the fans and to meet and take as many pictures as they possibly could with them, because that's just what they are. That's why I just like hearing these dudes talk about the game that they're excited for. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe, bell notification icon, all that jazz. There is the link to the original. I won't forget this time. I forgot on the last Rumpo Polo gameplay. My bad. But yeah, the link will be there, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.